I'm Shay Pasa. We know that necessity is the mother of invention. Well, today we meet one mom, Amelia Antonetti, that had to become an inventor in order to save her child's life. Amelia was ecstatic to be a mom. It was a childhood dream. She never expected the nightmare that would follow.
I brought David home, and David was a normal full term, not a problem. Brought him up from the hospital, and we never made it to the 2-week checkup. David, I would hold him and start breastfeeding him, and he would literally, his lips would turn blue, his eyes would roll back at his head, and he'd pass out in my arms, and I'd go, ugh. So I started this circle of going from one doctor to another specialist, to a respiratory, round and round. From, one hospital said, okay, well, you've exhausted our resources. No matter who I was in front of, never really could give me an answer. I was waiting to hear David had cancer, David had AIDS, David had some big word to explain the symptoms that I was seeing. They end up flying in some specialists who was a pediatric respiratory specialist, who basically said, I really think you need to get your wife in therapy. She said, Amelia, he said, you're young, you're successful, you're gonna have to let this one go. And I felt like the ground come out from underneath me. I remember walking down the hallway, I remember going back into my son's room, I remember listening to the monitors, all the tubes in David, and I said, they gave up on him.
But Amelia would not give up.
I looked out David's window and I said, God, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with my life, but I promise you, if you let me keep him, I'll do something. I'll do something.
That promise would prove to be prophetic.
Brought David home from the hospital. I started exploring, options. Somebody said to me, we want you to go see a homeopathic specialist. And I said, homo who?
Amelia was ready to do anything.
I said, something's going on in your home. I'm like, oh, no. I said, my family's off the boat. You can eat off the corners in my house.
They asked her to keep a journal to try to figure out what was happening.
My kid is screaming his brains out, 7 by 24. I'm barely holding my life together, and you want me to write in a journal? Like, you guys are quacks. But I did.
And with that, the pieces started to come together.
I realized by looking in this journal that every single Tuesday, we were ending up in the emergency room, like clockwork. And I started to look, and I said, you know what, like Saturdays I was doing laundry, and Sundays I was cleaning out everything, because Mondays was the day I went to Costco, and then Monday nights I was sprinkling stuff all over the carpets, and I was spraying down my ovens and all the stuff so that I could wipe things out. That was my big thing I was doing on Monday nights, and Tuesdays we were in the hospital. So I started looking in the back of everything in my cleaning caddy.
Amelia discovered that there are no ingredients listed on the back of our cleaning products. With a little more research, Amelia found that every manufacturer had to publish its ingredients on what's called an MSDS.
Ammonia and formaldehyde and butyl and PEG 60, whatever. In those words was my son's. I looked at all the side effects and I was like, oh my, shortness of breath, horrible skin reaction, big blisters, on and on and on. That was my son.
Amelia finally had an answer, but what could she do?
So I'm now talking to my grandmother. I'm hysterical. I'm like, I have dishes piled up in my sink. I haven't done anything in weeks. My kid is wandering around naked. I can't even put a diaper on him. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And she bust out laughing. And I was like, this is not funny. I'm like, yeah, right. What are you laughing at? She said, sweetie, she said, we used to make them. I go, what do you mean make them? Make what? What are you talking about? She said, just like we used to make dinner, we used to make our products. She came over, my grandmother showed me how to make literally on my stove, make a kettle of soap. And then we took it and we poured it in these molds, and then I took a bar of soap and I grated it on a cheese grater and went and did a load of laundry. And I was like a deer in headlights. I was blown away. It was soft, it smelled good, it cleaned great. I was like, what the? A little bit more powder, added a little vinegar, also made an all-purpose cleaner and then a window cleaner, and I was like, why did we ever get away from this?
Discovering hundreds of other mothers experiencing the same thing, Amelia heard her calling.
Amelia, you should do something about this. I got all these little Ziplocs and I started passing out these soap to women in, because we have a special ICU room when you've got sick kids. It's a special room, and I'm passing this stuff out to other people. And what do I know? People go like, oh my God, this is the best stuff ever. So I said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna liquidate what I got, and I'm gonna go into the soap business.
And with that, Amelia fulfilled her earlier promise, and Soapworks was born.
My purpose was really to be a conduit between better choices in the home and an array of different types of product.
You can read more about her story in her book, Why David Hated Tuesdays. Having solved the problem and created a very successful business of her own, Amelia is once again paying it forward by helping women turn their ideas into businesses with her latest venture, Lucky Napkin Live. You can find out more information at luckynapkin.com. Thanks, Amelia. I'm Shay Pasta for Chakee TV, the place where you can come and be inspired by women just like you. I'll see you next time.
You're watching Chakee TV, inspiration and entertainment for women.